California Cannabis Voice. Went to Humboldt, helped spur the very first cannabis cultivation ordinance ever in the state of California, and it has served as the flagship ordinance that lays underneath both MRSA and ALMA. I am not here tonight to endorse ALMA as it is currently written. I cannot do that. However, I am here in one of my roles as a citizen and in an unofficial capacity as the leader of the San Francisco Cannabis Legalization Task Force. So apart from many of you, I have spent way too many hours buried in the 69 pages of that document and all of the current resolutions and ordinances that are coming before us to change it. So, because we have a limitation, it is, in my opinion, almost criminal that San Francisco does not weigh in as the base where Prop 215 happened on ALMA, the Adult Use of Marijuana Act. It's not the medical marijuana, it's the adult use of marijuana. It will be voted on by the voters. It needs help. However, as a voter proposition, unlike most, this can be amended. And so I would recommend that this Democratic Central Committee introduce an amendment that guarantees the rights of the medical cannabis community, that protects ALMA revenue and directs it towards schools, protect the confidentiality of medical patients, licensed applicants, and ensure the continued cannabis consumption for patients. Today in Sonoma County, a compassionate facility generating cannabis extracts was raided. This is not an issue that's going to resolve itself. We must have a voice in it. And I ask that while it's flawed, you consider with amendments supporting ALMA as a symbolic gesture. And I thank you for your time.
Mary, do you have your amendments written down?
Yes, I forwarded them to the author of the resolution.
Did you have copies?
Yes.
Do you have copies of the amendment?
And if I were able to speak, I would make a presentation on behalf of Fiona Ma. I hope the representative does that. Thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Dusta?
Yep. Good evening, DCCC members. Thank you for having me here tonight. I'm really deeply concerned about this organization, this body of our Democratic Party. Already I'm hearing, especially from Petra, we did not give enough time for public comment to react to these issues on the agenda. Also, we wanted to take time to do the right thing. I'm just really concerned that with this regime change going forward, that we're going to end up with some NIMBYism, where we hold things back, delay things, and not get anything done. We have a homelessness problem out there in the city, and nobody's taking time to register the homeless folks to exercise the right to vote. Nobody's really exercised, a program where they can register the homeless, because their voices need to be heard. They're directly affected by this housing crisis. Also, too, we are really concerned that we're not building enough housing. But yet this organization, it seeks to not even pass a policy statement concerning housing in San Francisco. This really deeply concerns us and many others. And also, too, finally, I'd like to thank Mary Jo for all her time and service as being the chairwoman of this body, as well as others. Thank you.
Thank you. So the next slide we have, as you hear your name, please come up so we can go through public comment as efficiently as possible. Sarah Payan, Dominic Rapoli, David Goldman, Michael Cohen, and Elihu Hernandez. So Sarah Payan.
Good evening. My name is Sarah Pine, and I've been a resident of San Francisco for 20 years. I'm Director of Education and Outreach at the Apothecarium, and I'm Stage 3 colon cancer survivor. I'm also C12 and one of the vice presidents of the San Francisco Cannabis Legalization Task Force. Today, I'm here to patient advocate. I'm urging the SFDCCC to oppose both SB 987 and AB 2243, which are both under consideration in the California State Legislature. Both bills were passed, medical cannabis to the point where it became inaccessible to our most critically ill patients who need illness. A majority of my patients who use cannabis for their illnesses such as HIV and cancer are on fixed incomes, and many are hospice patients whose medicine is already too expensive for them. This task will force many patients to purchase from the illicit market, which can put them in harm's way and be vulnerable to violence, and unsafe medicine with no quality control necessary for medical grade therapies. Cannabis is what helped me reach it kept my weight and appetite up, reduced nausea without having to be strong, expensive antiemetics, and controlled my neuropathy pain. Had the state taxation been taken place through my treatment, I wouldn't have been able to afford my medicine. I think the SFDCCCVotesYesOnProp64WithoutREADIng to send a letter out and send them their team to reassess their position and urge them to replace this bills. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Dominic Napoli. For the past few months, and like many of you, I have been living and breathing cannabis law in California. I actually work for Terrence Allen, and I also work for a cannabis attorney in Oakland. So I'm very well read on all the material. And I heard a few things from this woman over here who didn't want this item on the agenda. Specifically, I heard her say that it punishes people who are under 21. Did anyone here ever consume alcohol or smoke cigarettes in high school? No? Oh, nobody did. Of course not. Did you ever get in trouble for that? Did you ever get arrested for that? That's my analogy to that statement. San Francisco is the chokehold of the best cannabis that the world has to offer, coming from Northern California. It goes to Southern California, the nation's largest consumer market, and it's right now half legal, half illegal. ALMA is coming, and there's a 60% chance that it's going to pass. This body needs to make a decision on how they're going to approach it, because whether you like it or not, it's going to come. So what's going to happen when San Francisco gets blown up with tourists for adult use cannabis, and there's only 5 dispensaries open that have on-site consumption? They're going to go out to public spaces and consume it? Now is the time to prepare San Francisco to take the leadership position that it needs to geographically and politically to decide what they're going to do with cannabis and adult use cannabis. Thank you.
Thank you very much. David Goldman.
Two people after me have agreed to cede their time to me. Is that acceptable?
Sure. Who is
Thank
that? Is that Michael and?
Michael Cohen and
Okay.
We've all seen our tax rate fall.
Okay, maximum 5 minutes, okay?
thank you. Yes, I'll go quickly. Good evening, members of the Democratic Party Central Committee. My name is David Goldman. I'm a homeowner and resident of San Francisco for the past 43 years. I'm also a medical cannabis patient activist and law reform advocate. I served on the San Francisco's Medical Cannabis Task Force from 2009 to 2011. From 2008 to 2013, I was head of the chapter in San Francisco for Americans for Safe Access, the nation's largest medical cannabis advocacy organization. Currently, I am the president of the San Francisco chapter of the Brownie Mary Democratic Club. I'm here this evening to urge you to oppose both Senate Bill 987 and 2243, which are both under consideration in the state legislature. Senate Bill 987 by McGuire imposes a special 10% statewide tax, which is disingenuously called a fee in the legislation upon all medical marijuana sales. The only exemption for this is if people get the state card, which will cost them $60 or $120 currently, the state medical marijuana ID card, and they make less than $23,540 a year. There are many people in San Francisco who make more than that, but are still of great limited income. There's another bill, AB 2243 by Wood, which levies a $9.25 per ounce tax on the cultivation of medical marijuana. At the current wholesale price of $1,500 a pound, this is tantamount to a 10% tax on medical marijuana. Should the price go down from $1,500 a pound, it's actually a higher percentage tax. If both these bills pass and get signed by the governor, medical cannabis patients would pay an additional 20% tax to access their needed medical cannabis. In San Francisco, many medical cannabis patients are low income, and many of them are people with HIV and other severe disabilities who have been unable to afford the extra taxes. Research has shown that over 80% of medical cannabis patients use medical cannabis to replace prescription medications, which are often toxic or not as effective as medical cannabis. For example, the state-funded Center for Medical Cannabis Research at the University of California, San Diego has concluded that the use of medical cannabis is the preferred treatment for the spasticity and neuropathy induced by multiple sclerosis. States which have enacted medical cannabis laws have seen a marked drop in opiate-related deaths due to overdoses, and as patients there have replaced their opiates, which are addictive, with medical cannabis, which is not formally addictive. As you may know, when you compare to prescription drugs, which most of these patients are replacing, when you pay for a prescription drug, you're likely you only pay a $5 or $10 copayment, no taxes at all. Senate Bill 987 passed the state Senate on a 27-10 vote and will now be considered by the Assembly. Sadly, all the Senate Democrats, including Senator Leno, voted for the bill. AB 2243 passed the Assembly on a 60-12 vote and will now be considered by the Senate. Among the Assembly Democrats, only Assemblymember Quirk of Hayward voted against the bill, while Assemblymember Chu voted for it, and Assemblymember Ting abstained. We cannot afford these extra taxes. I urge the San Francisco Democratic County Central Committee to write a letter to Senator Leno and and Assembly members Chu and Ting to reassess their positions and urge them to oppose these bills. Now, I want to point out that these bills only become law if AUMA, the Adult Use of Marijuana Act, is not passed. So if AUMA passes, it's even worse. That McGuire tax of 10% goes up to 15%. The other tax, the cultivation tax of AB 2243, remains in place. And AUMA has no dispensation for low-income patients. AUMA, if you pass it, it is a real Hobson's choice. I like the law reform penalties in the law, but I don't like the fact that my taxes are raised. There's no employment protection, so I can be fired from my job for using cannabis, off the job on weekends from getting a positive test. I can lose my housing. A landlord can prohibit me from from using cannabis, even like an edible, which is not smoking. And only medical cannabis patients will be exempt from Child Protective Services possible custody taking of children. So recreational users under AUMA could lose their children. And that has happened. If you're wondering where this is going on, it's happening in Butte and Tehama counties, where people who are involved in the medical cannabis movement are losing their children. Further, there are contradictory sections in AUMA. The sections on transport, removing the penalties against transport, are contradictory. One section of the initiative leads it in, one section takes it out. That's a Full Employment for Lawyers and Judges Act. Finally, there's one section of the bill which legalizes the possession of 8 grams of cannabis concentrate. Another section says penalties are enacted if you have 4 more grams of concentrate. So I'm really torn about AUMA, but I'm here today mostly to ask you to oppose Senate Bill 987 and AB 2243. Please don't ask for us to pay more taxes. Remember, we're only transitioning from a not-for-profit to a for-profit model, and all these taxes will inevitably be passed down to the patients. Thank you.
So the next 5 that we have are Denise Dory, Shauna Gorbahan, Bruce Vega, Frank Molinaro, and Otto Duffy. You are?
My name is Alan Hernandez.
Didn't you give your space to this gentleman who just spoke?
No, he did not.
He didn't.
No.
He did not.
You
He
see
gave
the
it to the
space
gentleman
to
and the
Michael
female.
Cole and Elsie Hernandez.
No, it was the gentleman.
You may have not gotten my name.
We
So
said
send
it.
it to Beliosa.
Did I
You
have
did
your
try to
card?
write with it. You have my card. You didn't announce my name, but I waived my time to leave people.
Okay, so
Right.
what was your name?
Beliosa, B-E-L-L-A-Y-O-U-S-S.
Okay, I'll find your name. Okay, all right. Okay. No worries, go ahead.
Oh, that's the confusion.
That's okay, no, that's not good.
Okay.
Sorry, okay.
Thank you.
A little bit confused. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay.
On July 2nd, 1776, the Continental Congress created a station on the Democratic Party for many beliefs and ideas. And this Democratic committee right here is lacking one serious fundamental issue and value called communication. There's been a lack of communication with item number 6, UMA. Many patients are in danger of losing their ability to heal themselves with better proper medication. I'm a member of Access to Love. For the past 10 years, I've been a community organizer, an activist, human rights organizer, Human Rights Watch, medical marijuana patient. If I wasn't able to have medical marijuana, able to use medical marijuana, I would not be able to stand up for 5 whole minutes. 40 years ago, I was used as what people say guinea pig for reconstructive surgery for club feet. Many of them say one club feet have 1 or 2 surgeries. Due to the result of that, I suffer from constant muscle spasms in my feet. Unable to stand for periods of time. Unable to walk distances. Unable to hold a job down. I wasn't able to work in a fast food restaurant or do data entry or be a file clerk without using medical marijuana. The Director of Access to Love, Senator Open, will explain exactly why it's very important for this body to know item number 6. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Denise Story?
I'm here on behalf of the Central City Democrats.
Speak up.
I'm here on behalf of the Central City Democrats, Access to Love, the Harvey Milk Club, and I can't urge you strongly not to oppose ALMA for many, many reasons. And there's no bigger stakeholder than people who went to jail. And I got my diploma in a jail cell because I got caught with somebody else's ounce of pot. But ALMA isn't going to change that really, because a simple legislative vote can 50+1 majority will overturn, already uphold city and county bans and creates more bans, and so if you ban growing, and already it won't let you grow outside. What's wrong with growing outside? We can grow the non-odoriferous strains. But I'm saying, and I have Lyme disease. It might kill me still. And cannabis makes my antibiotics work better. I have very little money to live on, and I have to pay out of pocket for all my medical bills because the medical system is too predatory to cover it. They want to make it seem like it's multiple sclerosis or Lyme. Those people who have multiple sclerosis and paralysis have Lyme disease. I have it. And it was making me paralyzed. I finally got the I had to diagnose myself. The medical industry is all screwed up. They want to take over cannabis. They want to turn it into a pill and a spray. The ALMA doctor, who is a proponent, ALMA doctor, adult use of marijuana, the doctor, the spokesperson, is saying cannabis is unhealthy to justify a bunch of unnecessary regulations so they can put us in jail. Okay, I want to also say that with all these increased fines, it's the prison industrial complex. It's the prison industrial complex on steroids. Please vote no. Please. Thank you.
Okay, Shauna?
It's an honor to speak before you today. My name is Shauna Goldar. I've been a medical cannabis advocate for the last 15 years and was recently honored by our city supervisors. And in particular for our advocacy for low income patients, and I'm going to focus my statements on that. Where we stopped with UMA, I didn't need to read all the pages. I just got to the page where I saw jail time. Jails are for people that are violent. We put a person in a cage because we are afraid that they are going to harm another person. Currently, we're discussing our anger around the very privileged male receiving a very light sentence for engaging in very violent behavior. With this law, poor people are going to jail for 6 months. It is not going to be anyone other than poor people because you have to be able to pay a fine. And while that fine may seem minimal to maybe upper middle class families, for everybody who's middle class, working class, or poor, this is going to be a huge cut in their family budget to pay this fee. And who did police primarily target for pulling over and talking to people? I would love to say there's a fair application of law. I would love to say that we don't need movements like Black Lives Matter. but we're not there yet in America, we're not there yet in the city. And so we're talking about the same cast of people being profiled and being put in a cage for smoking something that is non-toxic. So the primary things that we need to look at is this is advocated by a doctor who views cannabis as toxic, and this is putting people behind bars for engaging in herbal remedies. That is a blocking concern. We need to stop right there. We need to change things and say we cannot still always criminalize poor patients. And I want to honor what my colleague David Goldman said about the taxes, because again, it's going to be poor patients. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Bruce Agate. I'm the president of the South Beach District 6 Democratic Club, but however, tonight I'll be speaking on behalf of myself. I really just wanted to take a moment and thank everybody on all the members of the Democratic County Central Committee, the chair, Mary Jung, and all of you as members. You all dedicate your time and your energy to promote the Democratic Party, candidates, and solutions to our city's issues. Some of you have won re-election and others not. In either case, I'm assuming that no one's going away, myself included. No matter what shade of blue, we are all Democrats and fighting for the same causes: more affordable housing, better transportation, solutions to homelessness, quality of life, and equal rights for all. The differences at times are our approaches to solutions, and sometimes, and you said it, sometimes we do agree. There is no member who I agree with or disagree with 100% of the time, and I have enjoyed having the opportunity to work with many of you. I enjoy so much talking with you and hearing your perspective. Agree or not, as we all have issues, as we all view issues through our own lenses and filters, I've learned something from each of you that has helped me better understand the issue and the approach to address it. So with that said, again, I just want to thank you all for your dedication and service. Thank you.
Hi, thank you for your patience. I'm also known as Psychic Frank on TV. Probably got this best voted best show of the year last year. And I've been a psychic healer since the early 80s. And when people like Brownie Mary, who was put in jail, back in the when most of the gay men I worked with, hundreds died because I'm taking these cocktails. And they were experimental, they were like human guinea pigs, and many died from malnutrition because they couldn't get the food down their gullet. Cannabis helps people ingest food. I see many people, and Mary, Dr. Doug Abrams, she went to jail for it. So I'm here for all the hundreds of men and women who died in my arms because, and cannabis made their lives a lot easier. And this is basically about greed, let's face it. This is like, this comes to the bottom line. This is all about greed. I mean, we were all of Access of Love people. We were the Aldridge. We were out there with 215 in the cold and the rain. And now all of a sudden the big money's coming in. They just can't wait to throw us under the bus. Yeah. But I moved here in '72 after Brett Brooks said I didn't have to stay in New York anymore. And most of my friends that are almost 70 are gone now. And the ones that use cannabis are alive. And it's better than alcohol. Willie Nelson said it keeps them from drinking. Alcohol tears apart lives, destroys homes. Alcohol, people buy flowers. You know, and the fact that the homeless, I'm not going to go why they're homeless, but they're homeless, and instead of drinking, I think we should go around. This is the most appalling thing Sean pointed out, is we can't give it away. And so many people depend on contributions. I mean, even Spark is giving a minimum of a quarter of an ounce a month for disabled and poor people. This will eliminate that, and once again, it's the industry. See, poor us cannabis people, we don't have lobbyists. We don't have lobbyists, So thank you, bless you, lady. I don't know you, but you're my prayers. I see you all the time. And have a heart. Let's open up a heart chakra. Let's not filter our heart through the base chakra. Watch my show, Psychic Frank's Mystery School, and I love you. And please, let's abort this horrible thing, this humanitarian thing, Because it does away, we're better off staying at 215.
Otto Duffy,
Can I give up mine to this guy, or he didn't fill out a card?
what's your name?
I'd like to give up my speech time to this guy, John, that was so smart.
What's your name?
I can still speak.
Oh,
Oh, you can
I
still
just
speak?
want to find your card. That's okay, I just want to find.
Yeah, from my perspective on this issue, the marijuana law, the arithmetic from where I sit in the hall and how it affects me. My neighbor who lives down the hallway from me, and I have no real control over her access to me, has said that if I support this, she'll put me in a headlock. On the other hand, the people who are supporting this and want us to support this don't live within a mile of me. Our representative years ago on this board was Michael Goldstein, and it's been a while since we had one. However, in 1 week, there's going to be someone on this board who lives within a mile of me. Road!
So Susan Bryan, Michael Nolte, Sonia Strauss, Ryan Webster, and David Gieson. Are you Susan Bryan? No. Just, take her over there. Okay. Susan Bryan? I'm Susan Bryan. Okay.
Mary.
Yes? Thank you. Okay, Susan Bryan?
Hi, I don't know if you really do this music, a lot of other people, right? Central City Democrats does not support the amendment changing the party's bylaws, nor will it